Hey everybody, this is the Facebook Ads with a Twang podcast. I'm your host Ben Blackman, and today we're talking about the real secret to conquering Facebook ads. Here comes episode 35. Facebook Ads with a Twang is dedicated to taking the often overcomplicated process of creating simple, successful Facebook ads, breaking them down step by step in less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to episode 35, the real secret to conquering Facebook ads. And I'm thrilled to have you on this episode. If I sound a little bit hoarse, it's because I am a little bit under the weather. However, it's one of those things where I was like, it's an accountability thing for me. I committed to myself to have 2 episodes a week. And so, I'm like, this is the time that I have to do it. So here it is. I'm going to do it. And last week, unfortunately, I was late getting out the Monday episode, and I'm telling you, I felt horrible about that because there was no, I can make up a million excuses, but there was no good reason for me to not have it out ready. So this week I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if I'm sick or not. So let's get this started. And that's kind of what the topic is today. The number one thing you absolutely have to master before running your Facebook ads. And it may not be what you think it is, but I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag, but it's your mindset. It's what you think about running Facebook ads and how it's going to work for your business. And so I look at people's campaigns all the time. Like, I get to see new campaigns every week, right? From people say, hey, can you look at my ads? Can you look at this, that, whatever? And evaluate them and see the strategy and so forth, or lack of strategy, which it usually is. And the number one thing that I see in those is most people are just hoping for the best, right? There's no real strategy there. And so often what I challenge people to do is I say, who do you need to become to have a massively successful Facebook ads campaign? Just like, who do you need to become to have a massively successful business? Right? Do massively successful people, do they just try to scrape by, or do they just put it all out there? Right? So that belief, having belief in yourself, in your offer, in your ability to deliver massive, value to your customers is huge before you even think about running a Facebook ad. And I promise you, if you don't master that part, it will come out in your videos, in your copy, in your images. I mean, you do not want to treat your Facebook ads like you have a budget as if you were Walmart, right? Because we have to be very strategic. They can just throw stuff up against the wall. They don't, but they can. They can just throw stuff up against the wall. We can't do that. Professionals, meaning if you're going to be a professional, advertising on Facebook, you have to plan your campaign down to the last detail. Amateurs throw stuff against the wall. We don't want to be amateurs. They don't win. Okay, that's not what's going to happen. They might have a little bit of success, but I'm assuming you're listening to this because you want to learn how to really grow your Facebook ads. And so what I mean by planning is the part of mindset that I think a lot of people skip because they just want to get it out there. A lot of people don't really want to learn everything there is to know about Facebook ads because they don't like it. They just want to learn how to just run a Facebook ad and let it work. Well, maybe you need to hire somebody. Maybe you need to hire a professional to plan, to run the Facebook ads, but you're still going to have to plan out the campaign with them. You don't want to just leave it to them to plan it all out. You want to understand it. And so you're really going to have to ask yourself some questions. And when you do this little exercise I'm going to kind of talk about, then, whatever happens on your campaigns, you'll take the emotion out of it. It won't be just about how you feel. It'll be about what your next steps are. And that usually is what leads to the best campaigns. So the first thing is that you really want to ask yourself, what if the ads tank? I mean, what if they stink? What if they don't work? I mean, what is it? What happened? And you need to take a look at that, right? So it could be the product. It could be the product or service that's not something that people want. That's a possibility. So the question there is did you validate your product or service before you ever even thought about running a Facebook ad or doing any marketing? If you did, great. Then you know that there's something else there. But if you didn't validate your product or service first, well, maybe it's your product or service. It could be. did you take the time? Did you invest the time into understanding and put the effort into understanding what numbers you need to hit before you put out your Facebook ads? I mean, if they tank, how are you going to evaluate those? Right? You need to have a specific set of actions ready for certain outcomes. So you have to know your numbers. In other words, how do you know it's successful or not successful? Did was breaking even? Was that all you needed to do? Did you need to get 5 times return on investment? Is that what you're trying to accomplish? I mean, what were your numbers? And you have to look at your process. So if the ads don't do very well, where was the breakdown? Okay, did you get clicks? Like, people were clicking all over your ad, but they weren't taking the next action. Well, that could be a function of the page you sent them to. It could be the audience, right? I mean, there could be different things there. So you have to be prepared to answer those questions so that you can go back in and start a new campaign and change those things and see how that works. You're gathering data. You're trying to figure it out. And that's what you have to do. Most people don't want to do that. They just want to run an ad and say, hey, it's successful. Hey, I'd love to do that too. And occasionally I have. But for the most part, you really have to test these things out. The last thing I wanted to mention on that part is that if your ads tank, you don't want to spend money that you don't have. Meaning, you don't want to spend money you're going to buy groceries with for your Facebook ads. That's not a good plan, because you're coming at a place from of fear and lack of abundance in your life. So that makes it tough. Scarcity is not a good thing when it comes to Facebook ads. And so, saying that, at the same time, I also want to say that you have to be willing to spend more than you think you can. And so I know that sounds kind of contradictory to what I just said, but what I'm getting at is that if you have an ad budget and you know you can spend it, so let's just say your ad budget's $500. You say, I can spend $500 and my kids will still eat. Okay, if I can say that, but you might have to step out of that. I'm not saying might. You have to step out of that and say, you know what? I can spend $500, but I know I have to spend $1,000 to make this work, because no entrepreneur that I know of anyway has ever really grown their business without stepping outside of what they feel comfortable doing. I mean, that's just part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of being a business owner. You've got to be willing to put it out there. So I hope that stuff kind of resonated with you and you kind of understand where I'm coming from. You've got to plan that stuff. But the next part is you have to know, what's your next steps? What's your next steps based on, some of those questions that I asked? What are you going to do next? All right. And then the next thing is what are you going to do if your ads work? I mean, you might be thinking, I'm going to celebrate. Well, good. Do that. Celebrate. But when you come back down from celebrating, what are you going to do? Are you going to run more ads? Are you going to try to scale what you have? Are you going to evaluate your options at that point? I mean, you need to have a plan ready for what if they work, because they are, sooner or later, they're going to work. You're going to figure that out. If you keep at it long enough and you have an outstanding product or service, they're going to work sooner or later. The thing that you really don't want to do is you don't want to keep jumping to the grass is greener kind of thing. So I'll tell you, just kind of give you an example. What a lot of people did was, instead of mastering the news feed, they said, I want to do messenger bots, or I'm going to do Instagram, or whatever it is. And that's fine. That's okay to do those things, but it's hard to make your ads continue to work if you keep jumping ship, right? And to make them grow. And so I really hope that, this episode, I was excited about doing this because I know in my life that mindset is, 99% of it. It really is. And the other 1% is the effort that I have to put in. And so I really was glad I was able to do this, and it came at a perfect time. Thanksgiving's just going to be a couple days away, and I just wanted to say that I hope you and your family have a tremendous Thanksgiving if you're in the U.S. right? I just hope that it's really a time that you can enjoy with your family or friends or whoever, and that's what I'm planning on doing with mine, and I'm so much looking forward to it. So I'll be thinking about you and wishing you guys the best. Also, if you can, please take a couple of minutes. I know you probably got this on your phone or whatever, but take a few minutes to go to the Facebook Ads with the Twang podcast thing on iTunes and leave me a review and let me know how I'm doing. I don't know what to do if you don't tell me. So please do that when you can. And also, last thing, as usual, you can certainly join the Facebook I have a, well, let me try that again. I got a little caught up there. You can certainly join my Facebook group, Funnel Strategies for Facebook, and I'll be glad to answer any questions in there. I have a plan for becoming a lot more active in that group coming up. I just haven't made it there yet, but I do answer questions when they're posted. So hop on over there. You can check the show notes for the link, and I will see you guys on episode 36. Thanks so much.